Hi everybody, my name is Kevin Morris. I'm the creator, the voice, the writer, editor, all hands on deck for the YouTube channel, Staged Right. The first thing I want to say is thank you to everybody who has followed the channel, whether you joined from the very beginning or in the last couple episodes. The fact that there are like 1,500 people who follow what I do, and most of whom I don't know, it does mean a lot. So thank you very much for following this channel. So we're just gonna do a little Q&A. Usually when I'm doing an episode, I can edit out all my mistakes, all the points I don't know what to say, and I'll probably do a little bit of that here, but this is me mostly uncensored, so I'm a little nervous, but we'll see. Some of you have asked questions about my thoughts on certain musicals, performers, on past episodes, a little bit about myself. Somebody asked me how old I was, and to that I say I am in my early mid-30s. So, a little bit about myself. I do have a background in theater. I am an actor, singer, writer. I trained in musical theater from Sheridan College, and since graduating, I've gotten to do theater, film, television. In the last 2 years since the pandemic started, I've gotten to do a lot of kids animated TV shows, doing voice work, which is kind of fun. And, because of the pandemic is really sort of why I started this channel. Like everybody else, my gigs got canceled, and it looked like we were not going to get to performing anytime soon. So this channel really became just really a creative project, an outlet for me to ultimately take something that I love and getting to sort of stay in that world in a weird way and share what I love about the theater and what interests me. So that's a little bit about me, but now we're going to get into this Q&A stuff. Somebody says, this year we've got some great and not so great movie musicals. Which one was your favorite and which one did you like the least? Okay, so I'm going to give two answers to both of those. If you've seen the Tick, Tick, Boom episode, you know how much I loved Tick, Tick, Boom, the movie that just came out on Netflix. I loved West Side Story. I cried throughout the entire thing. I probably would have cried more had I not listened to the soundtrack before. And my least, I'm not going to contribute anything original, but I didn't really care for Dear Evan Hansen or The Prom. I also want to point out that I'm not particularly a fan of either of those shows. I also think, those shows aren't necessarily for someone like me. I think that's fine that other people can enjoy it, but they weren't my jam. Sorry. Do you have any musical theater clips on YouTube that blow you away / give you chills so much that you come back to them over and over or rewatch on repeat? I'll go back and watch any Bob Fosse choreography. Problematic guy, obviously, but just the work is so... It's mind-boggling. Something about Fosse just really hits a nerve in me. I just love his stuff. Given a lot of the talk about West Side Story, I went back and I rewatched the original movie, and Jerome Robbins' work, particularly in America and Cool, is just that stuff is just so good. I could rewatch that stuff all the time. And also because Sondheim has unfortunately been in the news again because of his death. There's a great performance of Sunday from, I think it's at the Royal Albert Hall, probably around his 80th birthday. I think that performance, which I'll probably link somewhere on the screen right now, it's just in terms of just voices and the way it sounds in the hall, it sounds really good. Donna Murphy in Could I Leave You? She's just so in touch with her craft. I could watch that over and over again. There's so much going on with her, and she's just incredible. So those are sort of the things I can constantly go back to. Oh, this person is given this, a 3-part question, and they're all sort of different categories. What are your favorite movie musicals? What are your favorite Tony performances? And name underrated musicals. Okay, so many movie musicals. These are them. Really good. Tony performances that I can go back to, the classic ones that a lot of people say, Jennifer Holliday in Dreamgirls, Michael Jeter in Grand Hotel, Dorothy Loudon in Annie. God, it's so good. And stuff that in my time, that I watched that had a big impact on me. I remember the first year I watched the Tonys was the year that Bernadette Peters did Rose's Turn. And I remember being a little gay 15-year-old with the volume turned way down and watching that performance and going, wow, that's something. And it looked great on TV and all that. It was great. Ring of Keys from Fun Home. I just love that song, that it exists, and the fact that it got this beautiful performance on national television. Beautiful. And Alex Newell in Once on This Island, like, just Alex Newell. We need more Alex Newell in this life. They are just incredible. And an underrated musical, the first thing that comes to mind is a show called Floyd Collins. If you know Light in the Piazza, that's by Adam Gettle. It was the musical, the first major musical that he did before that. I know there's a song cycle in between there, but it's this incredible bluegrass folk score, and it's got like some pastiche stuff from the 20s in it, but also just like glorious musical theater sounds. Tina Landau's script, her book, is just so rich and vivid, and the characters are so well crafted. I really, if you have not heard or seen that show in any way, get your hands on a script or just on the cast album. It's so beautiful. Okay, do you like Cats, both the animal and the musical? I personally am more of a dog person. I do like cats, but I do have a dog. Her name is Sasha, and my partner and I, we love her very, very much. Cats the musical, it's not for me, and that's fine. I did watch it at home on edibles, which I don't know how you could watch it any other way. It's just weird. It's just weird. Okay, somebody says, I think my favorite stage musical is Gypsy. What are your thoughts? Also, is it possible to pick a best rose, as all the ladies who played it brought their own take to it? I think Gypsy is a great show. It was actually the first Broadway show I ever saw with Patti LuPone, and it was right after her, Boyd Gaines, and Laura Benanti all won their Tony Awards, so it was a crazy audience. And I do remember crying during the Gypsy Overture because I was watching Gypsy on Broadway, listening to the Overture on Broadway. I'm that homosexual. It's just such a sturdy piece of writing. I know that the score and the lyrics are by Julie Stein and Stephen Sondheim are incredible too, but just Arthur Lawrence really did write a great piece. Everything lands exactly where it needs to, and his characters, and especially Rose, obviously, are so complex and kind of unique, I think, for musicals of that era. So the fact that we keep doing it, is a testament just how strong that piece still holds up. So yeah, I think it's a great show. Can you pick a best Rose? I think you can have your favorite. I don't support the idea that, you should hold on to the Ethel Merman mold. I know, for instance, Bernadette Peters really kind of got some flack for when she did the role because she really was nothing like Ethel Merman. I think at, the heart of it, you need somebody who can sing it, who can act it, who can embody all the things that Rose is. Obviously, I think she is a loving mother, but she's also somebody who has a lot of ambition for herself and for her kids. And I think to be a single mother making her way for herself and her kids in that time, I think you have to be very crafty. And, maybe some of the things she does to get where she needs to go are questionable. But that's what makes it an interesting and fun role to play. So is it possible to pick a best Rose? No, I don't think so. I think you can have your favorite. But if you go, this person is the best, it becomes a little bit more of, I'm right, you're wrong. And I don't care for that. So you can have your favorite, whatever you want. What's your least favorite musical and why? Oh God. Here's how I'm going to answer this. I think there's a type of musical that I personally am not a fan of, but there was a period in the early 2000s where musicals like Spamalot and the producers really sort of, went meta, and they sort of poked fun at a lot of the conventions in musical theater. And I think those were great. I think what started to happen with some musicals after that period, I think writers use it as a crutch sometimes, as opposed to having, a genuine moment of sincerity or even, ingenuity in the writing. I think they fall back on just sort of poking fun that they're in a musical. I think it's a bit rotten for those sorts of shows to do that. But, again, these are just my opinions. I think if you like these shows, there's nothing wrong with that. It's a taste thing. It's just who I am. So, like what you like. Seriously, I think that's what we're going to take away from this Q&A. If you could revive any show right now, which would it be and who would you cast as the lead? I want to see a big, huge mounting of Sweeney Todd. Not like a replica of the Hal Prince version, but like that scale. Big production of Sweeney Todd with a big cast and the Jonathan Tunick orchestrations. And who would I cast? I love Brian Darcy James. I'm going to say Brian as Sweeney Todd. I think he's, very sweet and adorable, but I think he could play scary. And Alexandra Billings as Mrs. Lovett. That'd be fun. Is there anything that you'd like to see adapted into a musical that hasn't been yet from either a book or a movie? I've thought for a while about Barry Jenkins' movie Moonlight being a really interesting idea for a musical. Now, it couldn't be done in kind of a big splashy Broadway, commercial model that we've seen. That material is just so understated, subtle, and just moving. I think, it would be really interesting to try to adapt it. Now, that being said, it would need to be created, produced, directed by people from those communities. That means the Black community, the queer community. If it's just all white people, it would be weird. It wouldn't work, I don't think. And so that being said, this white kid is saying that Moonlight should be a musical. So it's just an idea, but I think it could be interesting if it was done right. People have given me a lot of ideas about like future episodes. People want to see profiles on people like Bernadette Peters, Kristen Chenoweth, Ethel Merman, Sutton Foster. Somebody wants to see, an episode about Sondheim, for instance. My friend Emma said she wants a deep dive in the shift from pop songs linked loosely by plot to complete story with integrated music. Those are all great sort of ideas for episodes. Some of those profiles you mentioned, I think some of those could happen. I want to do them right. I always, for each of these performers, I want to have a way in to them, what makes them unique in their role in the musical theater community, and they're all unique in their own way. But I would rather, be very specific about what makes them unique, rather than just sort of a benign sort of like, and then they did this show, and then they did this show. And hopefully I haven't done that too much in previous episodes, but some of those could happen. And the same with Sondheim. Like, obviously I want to do a Sondheim episode, but I would rather just not reiterate facts that I've seen and say the HBO documentary 6 by Sondheim. I would rather have like a take. What do I have to say about Sondheim? So let me cook on some of those. They're all good subjects, but let me think about it. I have ideas for a couple of those profiles, so sit tight. Thoughts on fad and celebrity casting? It's here to stay, and it's always been sort of around in some weird way. We know examples when it really works and examples when it really doesn't. And sometimes it can really surprise you. Like last year when we said Andrew Garfield was going to be doing Tick, Tick, Boom, I was like, really? Is that going to be any good? And it turns out it's one of the best things I saw this year. So it's here to stay. And sometimes we all collectively have the experience, particularly on avenues like Twitter, where we all collectively share our disdain for certain celebrity casting. Yeah. I love the cast of experts you interview to help provide perspective on the episodes. How do you network with all these cool people? And are there any interviews you found particularly special or intimidating? All of them. I do have to give a special shout out to the first people I spoke to. That was Amir Haydar, Vanessa Sears, and Romeo Candido. Vanessa and Amir, I do know personally. Romeo I didn't know, but a friend referred him to me for the episode, and he was just so lovely and gracious to talk to me about his experience with Miss Saigon and just his thoughts on the industry. Michael Rubinoff I knew personally. I knew him from when I was at theater school, and the reason I spoke to him, I was talking to him about the Rebecca episode, and I found when I was researching it, a lot of sort of, my thoughts on, say, Ben Sprecher and Luis Forlenza and how they handled everything. We do know a lot of it was not handled well, but I found a lot of my reactions were emotional, and I wanted to make sure that I wasn't just reacting, as somebody from outside of a producer's experience. So with Michael, he was able to contextualize a lot of what I was, researching, and turns out a lot of the things that I thought were sort of outlandish on the part of the producers were sometimes quite normal. For instance, I didn't know that, it's quite normal actually to not have fully raised your capital before you go into rehearsals for a show. That actually, it's still risky, but it does happen. So Michael was very valuable for that kind of information and just making sure that I was not, going too emotional, let's put it that way, with my reactions. And, people like Bill Rosenfield, Kurt Deutsch, and Paul Wintorik, I did have to network a little bit for them. Those were the ones that I was a bit more nervous reaching out to, especially having really no direct association with them. Were they intimidating to talk to? Probably was more intimidating before. You kind of psych yourself up, and then they're just lovely. They're just so gracious with their time and with what they have to say and share with you. So yeah, it was wonderful. It was just really, really cool that I got to talk to those people. Crazy. What made you want to be part of the theater community? I always think of theater as the thing that I found myself. It wasn't something that I was told to like, that I had to take up because somebody at school liked it, that was what was going to sort of make me cool or safe. It was just something that I just genuinely loved doing. And I'm sure there was something of the make-believe aspect, especially when I was younger. But I think, as cheesy as it sounds, finding that community and finding people who love doing the same things that you do and having the same interests and people that you learn from, that was really what made me want to be part of it. I think when you're younger, I think you probably don't care when people tell you how hard it's going to be, and it is really, really hard. But I still want to be part of it. I think, especially because of the pandemic, I'm still trying to figure out, what my place in it is and, just how much I want to be in it. It still gives me a lot, but I also don't want to always rely on that one thing to find happiness. I hope that's right with me saying that. I really wish I could give you like an essay answer, but I think just, yeah, you want to be part of it, but not give too much of yourself away. Okay, and finally, what would you like to see happen with your YouTube channel, and what goals do you have? I want to keep doing it. I want to keep getting better, and maybe along the way keep talking to really cool people, whether that means, just in the research aspect of it, or even talking to really cool people that I've talked to throughout these episodes, like Vanessa, Amir, Romeo, Michael, Bill Rosenfield, Kurt Deutsch, and Paul Wintorik. Those people would all be very, very cool to talk to again. And I don't know, I just hope to just keep making the episodes better, getting better at my research, better in the video editing, growing the subscriber base, and I guess that really sort of depends on really listening to what the audience does. I think ultimately I need to do stuff that really moves me and things that I want to research, but I do want to hear from you guys. So if there's any episodes that you'd like to see in the future, any subjects, performers, shows you'd like me to cover, please let me know in the comments below. Yeah, so thank you very much for watching this Q&A. I hope it was enjoyable. I hope I was articulate in the fact that I was off script. I hope that's okay. Just again, thank you so much for watching these episodes. It really means a lot. Please stay safe through this crazy, crazy time. I will see you in 2022 with more episodes. Thank you very much for tuning in. Bye-bye.